Greetings, Faith United members and friends. For those of you watching who may not know me, my name is Steve Stoltz Costello. I am the senior pastor here at Faith United. Let me begin by saying that I praise God for you and for our worship together in person and online. Thank you for continuing to be the church with your prayers, your presence, your gifts, service, and your witness. The New Beginnings team met on July 13th, and I am excited to share with you some of the updates to our COVID safety guidelines. This includes a summary of our existing guidelines that will remain in practice, what is new as of July 13th, some things that are yet to be determined, and some ongoing best practices that are encouraged for all. The New Beginnings team has served the church faithfully throughout the pandemic, reviewing published guidelines from trusted sources such as the CDC, the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services, the East Ohio Conference of the United Methodist Church, the Bishop Malone's office, Governor DeWine, and the Ohio Department of Health, as well as conducting 2 congregational surveys, and they have provided helpful guidance to Pastor Jake and myself in our decision making. At the July 13th meeting, the New Beginnings team decided that their work is now complete. They voted to discontinue and to let the staff and pastors make any further updates to our guidelines and practices in the future. Please note that these guidelines and their updates are subject to change at any time. Pastor Jake and myself, as well as the staff, will continue to monitor the reports on the pandemic, and we are prepared to make changes to our practices if necessary. So first, the summary of our existing guidelines that will remain in practice. Number 1, at all times for worship and all events or gatherings, if you have any of the common symptoms of COVID-19 or other spreadable illnesses, for your safety and others, please stay home. The symptoms for COVID-19 include fever or chills or a cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle and body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting or diarrhea. Number 2, masks are optional for fully vaccinated adults in worship and in gatherings of any kind. Let me remind you that fully vaccinated is defined as 2 weeks following your final COVID vaccine shot. Number 3, for youth and children, parents decide what is best in terms of wearing or not wearing a mask, regardless of their vaccination status. Number 4, nursery care and children's ministry staff and volunteers will be required to wear a mask at all times indoors, regardless of vaccination status. Number 5, no one will be asked to verify if they have been fully vaccinated, though all staff and leaders will be briefed on these guidelines and trusted to follow them. Number 6, ribbons closing off every other pew in half of the sections in the sanctuary will remain in place to provide a social distancing option in worship for those who prefer it. Number 7, giving electronically or giving by text continue to be available and that is also encouraged. In addition, the offering box will remain in the narthex for receiving checks and cash, and the offering plates will still not be passed at this time. Number 8, worship manipulatives are available for children and adults who find them helpful. And number 9, nursery care on Sunday mornings is provided as long as there are sufficient volunteers who are comfortable serving in this way. And number 10, communion. Communion will continue to be served on the first Sunday of each month, and it will be served with the following options. Number 1, come forward, receive bread and the small cup of grape juice. Number 2, come forward, receive a gluten-free piece of bread and a small cup of grape juice. Number 3, come forward and receive the self-contained communion kit like we were using at the very beginning. And then number 4, you can remain in your pew and flag an usher, and we'll be sure to come to you to serve communion in any of those three options that I've already listed. Next, I want to share with you just some of the new things that were determined at the July 13th meeting. First, and this is the big one, we now determined that it's safe to have groups serve food. And that includes donuts and coffee on Sunday mornings in the gathering area. It includes groups and gatherings that are now permitted to bring and serve food and drinks. We do continue to remind all leaders deciding to serve food to be sensitive to persons with allergies and gluten sensitivity, as well as those who may not be comfortable partaking in the sharing of food. They have the option to decline. Next, we also remind groups serving food to restore the rooms used to their original condition or better. Sterilizing wipes are provided in every room to make it easy to wipe down tables and chairs. Next, outside groups are now welcome to meet at the church. Those groups need to schedule their use through Cheryl Seiler, the Director of Finance and Administration in the church office. Those groups also need to follow our cleanup procedures, wiping down the tables and chairs and cleaning up any trash, etc. The next section is things that are yet to be determined. Many are asking about Wednesday night dinners. It is our hope to return to Wednesday night dinners and programming starting sometime in September. The final decision on a date for this is still being determined. It depends in part on the comfort level of many of our volunteers that are necessary for that ministry. If you'd be interested in helping with that as a volunteer, please contact Kathy Schmucker, Director of Spiritual Formation. The other question that came up that's not yet been determined has to do with our drinking fountains. At this point, the water drinking fountains will remain turned off. However, the New Beginnings team did submit a recommendation to the trustees to consider installing water drinking fountains that are designed to have fillable water bottle stations so that you can have a refillable water bottle filled at the drinking fountain. And this will be a more hygienic and environmentally friendly option. This last section of our update is to remind you of the ongoing best practices that are encouraged for all. Number one, social distancing. All are encouraged to be mindful of the comfort level of others when engaging in fellowship. It's encouraged to fellowship outside if possible, and we encourage you to continue to try to maintain 3 to 6 feet of distance. That is still recommended. Also, when you come in and you go to sit, if you're sitting next to somebody, please ask them if they are comfortable with your distancing or just simply sit more than 6 feet apart. Methods of personal greeting. All are encouraged to communicate their own level of comfort regarding personal greetings. Even pre-pandemic, people have different comfort levels related to hugs, handshaking, etc. And so it's especially important at this time, while the pandemic is not yet over, to honor one another's comfort level for personal greetings. And the best way to know is simply to ask. Some other important considerations. In the same way that the safety of our elders has been honored throughout this global crisis, let us all demonstrate the same concern for our children who are not yet eligible to be vaccinated, as well as persons who are immunocompromised. Please honor the safety and preference of those persons who, for personal reasons, choose to continue to wear face masks. Keep in mind that there are many reasons that people choose to wear a mask, and we welcome all without question. So please do not assume that someone wearing a mask is not vaccinated. Let's just simply respect that those wearing a mask have their own reasons, and we want them to feel comfortable doing so. All groups and teams who plan to meet by Zoom or in person, whether at the church or a different location, need to coordinate with Cheryl Seiler in the church office. In addition, study groups and fellowship groups who plan to meet in person by Zoom, please also contact Kathy Schmucker, Director of Spiritual Formation, so that she can help with the coordinating of your group plans. I hope these guidelines and the updates make sense, and that whether you agree with all of them or not, I pray that The caring spirit and the best intentions with which they were discerned and drafted is felt. Again, thank you for your prayers, your patience, your understanding, and support. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me personally. Thank you for watching. God bless.